So if we're going to ensure the delivery of the key public goods at an international level, in this case, in the global supply chain, we have to come up with a different mechanism. We need a different machine. Fortunately, we have some examples. In the 1990s, there were a whole series of scandals concerning the production of brand name goods in the US, child labor, forced labor, serious health and safety abuses. And eventually, President Clinton in 1996 convened a meeting at the White House, invited industry, human rights NGOs, trade unions, the Department of Labor, got them all in a room and said, look, I don't want globalization to be a race to the bottom. I don't know how to prevent that, but I'm at least going to use my good offices to get you folks together to come up with a response. So they formed a White House task force, and they spent about 3 years arguing about who takes how much responsibility in the global supply chain. Companies didn't feel it was their responsibility. They don't own those facilities. They don't employ those workers. They're not legally liable. Everybody else at the table said, folks, that doesn't cut it. You have a custodial duty, a duty of care, to make sure that that product gets from wherever to the store in a way that allows us to consume it, not without fear of our safety or without having to sacrifice our conscience to consume that product. So they agreed, okay, what we'll do is we agree on a common set of standards, code of conduct. We'll apply that throughout our global supply chain, regardless of ownership or control. We'll make it part of the contract. And that was a stroke of absolute genius, because what they did was they harnessed the power of the contract, private power, to deliver public goods. And let's face it, the contract from a major multinational brand to a supplier in India or China has much more persuasive value than the local labor law, the local environmental regulations, the local human rights standards. Now, getting there is not easy. Those supply chains I put up on the screen earlier, they're not there. You need a safe space. You need a place where people can come together, sit down without fear of judgment, without recrimination, to actually face the problem, agree on the problem, and come up with solutions. We can do it. The technical solutions are there. The problem is the lack of trust, the lack of confidence, the lack of partnership between NGOs, campaign groups, civil society organizations, multinational companies. If we can put those two together in a safe space, get them to work together, we can deliver public goods that right now are in extremely short supply. This is a radical proposition. And it's crazy to think that if you're a 15-year-old Bangladeshi girl leaving your rural village to go and work in a factory in Dhaka, $22, $23, $24 a month, your best chance of enjoying rights at work is if that factory is producing for a brand name company which has got a code of conduct and made that code of conduct part of the contract. It's crazy. Multinationals are protecting human rights. I know there's going to be disbelief. You'll say, how can we trust them? Well, we don't. It's the old arms control phrase, trust but verify. So we audit. We take their supply chain, we take all the factory names, we do a random sample, we send inspectors on an unannounced basis to inspect those facilities, and then we publish the results. Transparency is absolutely critical to this. You can call yourself responsible, but responsibility without accountability often doesn't work. So what we're doing is we're not only enlisting the multinational, we're giving them the tools to deliver this public good, respect for human rights, and we're checking. You don't need to believe me, you shouldn't believe me. Go to the website, look at the audit results, ask yourself, is this company behaving in a socially responsible way? Can I buy that product without compromising my ethics. That's the way the system works.